Okay, so here we have the Harbor Freight Planishing hammer, and I'm going to just turn it on and show you how it works. It actually works pretty well. I was pretty impressed with the way it actually performs. It's a really inexpensive tool. Again, you can't compare these to the big high-end tools, but this tool actually works straight out of the box, which is pretty nice for Harbor Freight. A lot of the Harbor Freight stuff, most of the Harbor Freight stuff, has to be modified or beefed up a little before you can really get any use out of it. This thing worked right out of the box, so I was pretty impressed with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up and show you what you can do with it. It comes with 3 different dies. I made a couple of extra dies. I made this large die and I made a flattening die, which is just a flat surface, a flat anvil. You shouldn't call them dies, they're really anvils. 1-inch radius, 2-inch radius, and 3-inch radius. That's what comes with the machine. You get the C-frame, you get the cheapy little hammer, little air adjustment, and a foot pedal. The foot pedal is actually pretty nice. The foot pedal is fairly heavy gauge steel, and it's got a little foot pedal, which works. And you shouldn't do that with your hammer unless you have a piece of metal in there. Of course, the hammer's not touching the anvil, so I didn't hurt anything. But don't run your planishing hammer against anvil unless there's something in between it, because that's how you damage your anvils, or you could actually damage the hammer too. So what you're going to basically do is use this to either correct or to take hammer marks out. Let's say you put a bead in a piece of material, and then you said, oh, I put it in crooked, or I don't want it, or whatever. You want to change something up. It's got height adjustment so that you can adjust exactly how hard you want to hit this thing. Also for different thicknesses of material. And this, you can move the hammer down a little with the spring. So what we'll do is we're going to take this bead out. Now, I should mention that this is a really loud tool, so it's really a wise idea to put some headphones on so that you can hear people when they call you for dinner. Half an hour with this machine and no ear protection, and you won't be hearing anything, maybe dog whistles. So you can see that the bead is gone. Naturally, you have to do a little bit of cleanup work because you're hammering. And you'll also notice that it put a slight curve in there. That's because I'm using an anvil with a radius. I really should be using a flat anvil. But regardless, when you do this, you're actually going to stretch the metal a little bit, so there's going to be some distortion. Nothing that's really too difficult to work out. You could hit this with a hammer on with a dolly behind it, or again go in and work it with the hammer. I'm not going to talk while the hammer's working, so most people say that's good. But I'll just continue on a little bit and take this seam out. Now, once you've got most of your dents out or most of your bead out, you've got the panel fairly smooth. In some instances, you may have some marking from the dies that it actually put the bead in. Those can still be worked out, but again, sometimes it's just better to just sand them, and that'll minimize it. But at that point, then you're ready to really start using what the planishing hammer is really good for, and that's developing curves. Now, you can put in a little more of a radius. In this case, we'll use a 1-inch radius. So, like, the lower the number, the higher the radius. It's going to develop a tighter curve for you. And I'm actually going to put my ears on. And you'll see how quickly this develops a nice curve. So with a little bit of practice, you can develop some interesting shapes. I mean, I'm just beating this panel to death here, but you can see you can get shaping on the metal that is a lot faster than doing it with a hammer and a shot bag, and also leaves a nicer finish. If you do use a hammer and a shot bag, this will take those little walnuts out. I wouldn't run it on top speed, but you know, a nice moderate speed to the hammer will give you a really nice finish. And as you can see, almost all the scoring that was in that piece is gone. There's a slight bit left. I don't know if you can really show up, but that easily could be taken out with some 320 and then polished up. Or if you were if this was a piece of steel, you'd probably hit it with a little bit of Bondo or, you know, plastic, and take care of it that way. But you can definitely use this tool out of the box, and for the price I paid for it, they're on sale for $99. That comes with the frame, the hammer, 3 anvils, and a foot pedal. Find a 20% coupon and get it for $80. It's a good addition if you're doing any kind of patchwork or want to knock a piece of metal into a particular shape and don't want to get big Popeye arms by swinging a big heavy hammer. This will do a nice job for you. So again, it looks like I'm stuck in a Harbor Freight tool mode this month, but they've got some pretty good stuff. If you do a little research and look around, I've seen these on the internet. The exact same tool came out of the exact same factory in China, and I've seen people asking $600-700 for it. I mean, if you're that stupid that you don't look around and pay $600 for an $80 tool, well, I guess that's on you. But it's the same thing. It does the job. It does what it's designed to do, and I can recommend it for the money that you'll spend. It's a nice, worthwhile tool. How long it'll last, I don't know, but a replacement hammer at Harbor Freight is about $15, so you really can't go wrong. When you hammer a piece with a shot bag and a hammer, you get these little dimples on the other side of the material. I just whack these in really quickly, and that's a lot of hand finishing with a dolly. So that's another thing that this machine is really good for, is taking those walnuts out. Now, I should probably put a different anvil in with a little less of a curvature to it, but just for and that really beats hammer and dolly. So there you go, a little exaggerated so that you can see it, hopefully, but the walnuts are gone, and that's a smooth panel. This is literally less than a minute, 30 seconds tops on the buffer, and you can see where I had hammered those walnuts out. I mean, this is smooth as you'd want it. You could you could leave that as is. You could paint that just the way it is. I mean, obviously you take those little lines out, but that had some big hammer marks in it, and it's gone. So I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with the way this tool works, and I think you will be too. This is the original piece we started with. It was all beaded up and seamed, and now we got half a beer can anyway. But you can see that it polishes up very nice. I didn't sand this at all. 99% of the seam marks are gone. I don't know if you can see it in this lighting, but there's a very, very light hammer pattern on here. I mean, it's really imperceptible. It actually is kind of a nice looking finish if you were looking for that sort of thing. That will come out with 320, 220, and a quick buff on the wheel, and it'll be just smooth as if it was right out of the mill. So it's really, really an amazing little tool for the price.